topic which regularly gets the attraction or attention of the examiner is your caste system. Caste system in India, we all know it's a very, very relevant, highly applicable the reality in India that we cannot actually turn a blind eye to, or rather, we cannot simply rubbish it off and say this system is evil and we cannot have this system today, and because of its all the negative connotations it has got, we have to dump the caste system. Many people will be talking about that. But as students of social anthropology and anthropology as such, it becomes our bounden duty to know the caste in its entirety. Exactly what is this caste and where it has come from, what is the Varna system, how it is related to Varna, what are the concepts like Jati and Upajati. So there are many terms that we need to know in depth for getting a first-hand understanding of the Indian society, the current Indian society, because the current realities, whenever we speak about, have a bearing or have a basis of the past, or rather in the vice versa, the past phenomenon or phenomena have a bearing in the present. अभी आजकल देख लो आप, बहुत सारे न्यूज में भी आते हैं सब, ऑनर किलिंग्स, कास्ट काउंसिल्स, खाप पंचायत्स, caste based reservations, caste based violence and exploitation and atrocities. So many issues are linked to this concept called caste. So we need to know this system in its entirety. But where it all started? It all started in the ancient India. In ancient India, we have to know the structure and nature of this traditional Indian social system, because from that traditional Indian social system only these phenomena have arisen. Like for example, the Varna, the Jati and Upajati, then many other ideas like karma, dharma, punarjanma, and Rina concepts, which are all there listed out on your screen. And these also hold, and you can also argue or question whether these, why we are talking about all this, are they relevant for this today's contemporary society? Because all of them look like outdated concepts. आपको clearly भी पता लग सकता है, आपको एक महसूस हो सकता है कि ये सब सांस्कृतिक वर्ड्स हैं, बहुत पुराने किस्म के ख्याल हैं, अभी आजकल के जमाने में इनका एप्लीकेशन नहीं रहेगा, लेकिन सरासर एब्सोल्युटली रॉन्ग आइडिया है, क्योंकि man lived then also, human society was then also, it was like complex. Today it is more complex, no doubt. So that complexity has its own share of this, the basic entire foundation. So one of that factors that is present in this foundation is caste. For that, we need to know the traditional Indian social system, or simply the ancient Indian social system. यहाँ पे देखो ट्रेडिशनल मतलब क्या, मतलब हम लोग अंडरस्टैंड कर सकते हैं. इट कैन बी अंडरस्टूड एज एंशियंट आल्सो, इट कैन बी अंडरस्टूड एज नॉट मॉडर्न, or in other understanding it can be even understood as right, you are conservative to some extent, not completely, and in extreme understanding, orthodox. These are the terms used for the word traditional. And on the other connotation, and in the realistic understanding, traditional comes means and connotes something called as based on tradition. So that means it is based on tradition or traditions. What is a tradition? अगर हम लोग और deep question किए तो, what is a tradition? Tradition means some kind of a practice, a social cultural practice, or a practice for that matter, which has been in vogue, or which is being in use, which has been being in use since generations, hundreds of years, thousands of years. Traditional means वो धरोहर ऐसा आता जा रहा है since millennia. We don't know when it started, don't know exactly where it started, what was that kind of क्या बोलते हैं ना, watershed, or the starting points from where it all began. But some rough ideas we have generated based on historical and prehistorical evidences. So यहाँ से शुरू होता है हमारा understanding of the traditional Indian social system, that too The two words we'll be talking about, the structure and nature. How this traditional Indian social system was structured, and what is the nature of it. That means whenever we talk about the word nature, अभी आप गौर से सुनो, nature means it is a single word, but how a person's or an entity's nature can be described or understood. It is understood and described based on its characteristic features. For example, if I'm a man, what is the nature of a man? Nature of a man means it's his own characteristic features. My characteristic features, what kind of a man I am, whether I am tall, dark, or whether I am having a hair, body hair, mustache, beard, or how I look like, whether I'm having color, which color of the skin, and other bodily features. That is a man. It's a nature also. Many a times, nature translates into characteristic features. So, whenever we are trying to understand these, the nature of these and these ideas or phenomena, that means we are indirectly or directly talking about the characteristic features themselves. And we'll try to understand each of these phrases now, one by one. What is Varnashram? There are many ideas like Varnashrama, Purushartha, Karma, Rina, and Rebirth. These can be understood as phenomena. Certain times these can be understood as processes. In other parlance, in other understanding, we can call them as entities. See, in the world there are only two things. Some things अच्छा नहीं लगता, इसीलिए entities बोलते हैं इसको. These two things are persons and entities. And thirdly, the situations created by them. तीन ही होते हैं चीज पूरा दुनिया का. अगर you want to sum entire world in three words, persons, entities, and the phenomena or the processes, what you call the interactions, the situations created by them. So ये phenomena क्या है? यहाँ पे traditional Indian social system का वर्णा आश्रमा, पुरुषार्था, Rina, karma, rina, and rebirth. Rebirth is also known as, in a Sanskritic language, punarjanam. In South India, we add another extra ye, punarjanma. We have a tradition in South India to actually speak in elaborate manner. In South Indian languages, what we see, we say, for example, you say punya. We call punyam, punya. Right? There are many words like that in Hindi. You just need to add either that ma in the end or a. So that is the only slight difference. Otherwise, both are same. And most of these words have Sanskritic origin. अगर देखो पाप बोलते हैं, हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? पाप. हम लोग बोलते हैं पापमु, पापम. In Kannada, they call it as papa. So more or less the same ideas, right? So punarjanma, punarjanma, more or less the same ideas. Now let us understand these words one by one. What exactly is Varna Ashrama? First Varna Ashrama. We'll talk about Varna Ashrama. We'll go to the next page. Okay. And anytime, if you're not noting them down immediately, you can always watch the recording and do it. Now what is Varna Ashrama? In this Varna Ashrama, we have two words, Varna and Ashrama. Okay, so it is a compendium. Varna Ashrama is a compendium or a collection of two words, Varna and Ashrama. Varna comes as a connotation of the color. Basically, Varna is the color. Later, initially it was color. Later it became a class or a group of people. Later it has become, further this entire thing has come to be known as, Jati and caste. Jati in Indian languages, Indian understanding, language भी नहीं बोल सकते, understanding की correct word है. And finally, caste in English language. Now, meanwhile, come here, you note down this. ठीक है. Now, यहाँ पे चले जाते हैं. What is ashrama? Ashrama means mean and connote some kind of stages of life or stage of life, stage or stages. Because in many Sanskritic words, there is no distinction between singular and plural. So ashram या ashrama both mean stage or stages. If it is one stage, also it is one ashrama. Several stages, also it is one ashrama only. And the word varna is added in the prefix. So why we do that, we will understand. And which stage we are talking about, or which stages we are talking about. These are stages of life. Okay, just note कर लो जल्दी से आप लोग. So I'm going ahead and rubbing this off. So what is varna? As I told you, just initially it was a color of the skin. Color of what? Color of the skin. What do you mean by initially? Initially the term varna connoted, initially the term varna connoted means indicated or meant color of the skin. Color of the skin. Okay. So it all started, if you rely on the Aryan Invasion Theory or Aryan entry theory into India, because many of us believe, and some people may not believe, they might argue in the opposite also. But if we believe or rely upon the Aryan Invasion Theory, it seems when the Aryans entered into India thousands of years back, the people, the local people with less technological prowess have been easily defeated. Of course, maybe some time might have been taken, but eventually the Aryan people gained upper hand, subjugating the the local people. That means some people were already existing in India before the Aryan entry. Okay, so that Aryan incursion भी बोलते हैं, Aryan entry बोलते हैं, invasion बोलते हैं, incursion बोलते हैं. Whatever may be the word, but Aryans have come to stay in India as per this theory. When they came into contact with each other, in fact, initially no person will welcome, okay, please come and take this territory. Nobody will come. And in fact, the opposite happens. When some strangers come, the existing people in a territory would like to, उनको भगा देने के लिए कोशिश करते हैं. They would like to fend them off and defeat in a conflict. So that conflict or initial war has resulted in the Aryan people who were pitted against the local people who were called as Dasa or Dasyu. These people were defeated. Aryan people became the conquerors or victorious, and these people became the vanquished. These are English हम लोग बचपन में सीखते थे, synonyms, antonyms. Okay, victorious and the vanquished. On the other hand, they were also the masters. They became the masters, and this became the servants or servile class. And initially, because of this upper hand, etc., the color of the skin became the guiding principle, because these people were white in color. Versus, it is all this into means versus, opposed to. The dark skin complexion or dark complexion of the skin of the Dasa or Dasyu over the local people. Then thousands of years ago, whosoever was living in India, those people had a conflict with the people who have migrated to India. Those migrants were called as Aryans according to this theory. And this is the result. Why, on what basis this Varna has come? As I told you in the beginning, the starting point was of distinction, because see, people have a tendency to distinguish. They have inherently, entire humanity as a very typical trait, some characteristic feature, that we cannot live in a single homogeneous group. It is very difficult. except some tribal groups and isolated people like bands, etc. They might be, in an egalitarian manner, but humans always tend to distinguish between themselves and the others. Always there is a distinction between we and they, us and them. ये मतलब जब से ये दुनिया शुरू हुई है तब से हो गया. That principle has taken deep roots. With the men and women देख लो, बच्चे बड़े देख लो, then again our family versus others, other families, insiders and outsiders, our family, other family, our society, other society. That distinction is always there. So this distinction between Aryans and the Dasas or Dasyus had also got widened. Initially, as we have noted, only Arya Varna were there. Arya Varna versus Dasya Varna or Dasa Varna. Fine, as I told you, these people have become the victorious, right? And the people defeated them. These people were defeated and subjugated. These people became victorious. And the great deal of separation has started, a kind of a gulf developed between Arya and the Dasa Varnas. This distinction was widened again in the Aryan community. So within the Arya Varna, again there were broadly three divisions. The Arya Varna got divided into three: Brahmana or Brahmin, Brahma, Kshatriya and Vaishya. Initially, during the early Vedic period or Rig Vedic period, there were broadly three: Brahma, Kshatriya and Vaishya, or roughly Brahmin, that translated into roughly later Brahmana or Brahmin, Brahmana or Brahmin, then Kshatriya or Kshatriya, we know that, and Vaishya approximately translated into, Vis means a common people, but again this got elevated to the level of Vaishya. This is also written as Vaishya or Vaishya. SH bhi aata hai ek book mein. So these categories came into the picture within the Arya Varna, because Arya Varna were basically, as I told you, fair skinned people. These are fair skinned people or white skinned people. Within them there were again three divisions. But what about the Dasa Varna or Dasya Varna? Dasya Varna people were dark skinned people, as we have noted earlier. These dark skinned people were given a name, or rather they were named as a Sudra. So broadly, these people got amalgamated into this society, or rather there is a term called assimilated. There are three terms: assimilation and acculturation. So in those days, it so happened, because of this subjugation, every day you can't subjugate, every day you can't fight. After some days, you have to have compromise, you have to have understanding, and racial admixture. So it so happened that over a period of time, racial admixture happened, and because of that, broadly, this group of people also got adjusted into the Varna system. So broadly, a fourfold Varna system emerged. Initially, it was only three in the Varna, Arya Varna, and later it was four. Within the Arya Varna, the Brahmin people were supposed to have white color, because some skin color was given, okay, to each Varna. The white people, the white color people, and Kshatriya were red in color, and Vaishya were yellow in color, and naturally the Sudra were black in color or dark in color. So color of the skin was initially the dominating thing. Later, this fourfold system got entrenched in the society with the ये initial था ना, later इधर add कर लो, नीचे जगह नहीं है, so you need to write ये point जो है इसके नीचे लिखो, okay. This later it became some kind of society based on division of labor. Division of labor became the principle upon which this society was built. That is the reason it is called as Chaturvarna Vyavastha or Chaturvarna system, or fourfold classification of the society based on initially the color of the skin, later on the basis of division of the labor, or simply occupation. You can even call labor as occupation, division of labor or occupation. This Varna Ashrama, why they have been written together? Earlier we noted about The terms individually, varna means a color of the skin, as we have noted, or some form of classification of the society, or a term which connoted many dimensions. Initially color of the skin, later division of labor, later hierarchy. That again hierarchy came to be known was possible based on the division of labor. This later hierarchy led to stratification. Stratification again was based on hierarchy. So it is all like one related to the other. So varna is the key word here. And why it is linked to ashrama? What is the meaning of ashrama? Ashrama means, as I told you, the stages of life, or stages of life. And these ashrama are based on varna. Now ulta karna hai isko. Ashrama or where, because आजकल इसका कम हो गया usage. So where based on varna. Varna now means, by the time ashrama system came to be prescribed, all the four qualities that we were talking about, like the color of the skin, the division of labor, hierarchy, social stratification, all of them got entrenched. The society got deeply, clearly was divided in these fault lines. So Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. Okay, what are the four varna? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. These varna again got distinguished. As I told you, there was a division between Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and on the one hand, and the Sudra on the other. Sudra people were called by a separate name, and the above three varna were called by one name. Let us know what are they. That on that basis, ashrama is built. So Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya together were called as Vijaya caste or Vijaya Varna. And this is non-Dvija or Ekaja Varna. The Sudra were called as Ekaja Varna. Initially it was not Varna, but this was also incorporated into Varna, as I told you. But once it got incorporated into the Varna system, fourfold classification, the Sudra were given some term called Ekaja. These people are called as Dvija. Now let us understand what are these terms actually, what these terms mean. Dvija means twice born. Ekaja means once born. And you must have been getting curious on this. ये क्या हो सकता है? How is it possible for a person to be born twice? Yeah, we all know about a phenomenon called born once. We are all born once, no? Or are we talking about punarjanma or some kind of a rebirth, as it is mentioned in the syllabus? No, not in fact, not exactly. That punarjanma rebirth comes in the later discussions or later interactions between us. अभी के लिए ekaja means it is restricted to the category of the people called the Sudra, and the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya were together called as Dvija. Any guesses what could be this? How can these Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya be born again and Sudra born only once? Just because they have been defeated, or they are dark skin color? ये सब क्या है? Or is there any other rationale for this? Any guesses from your side? Once we are done with this, we'll close the session and we'll again meet in the evening. तब जाके हम लोग अगर possible हो तो और 2-3 sessions भी लूँगा मैं. I don't mind, because today I want to take as much sessions as possible. It will be possible only in the evening or night. जल्दी बताइए. Any guesses? Yes or no? You don't know तो no बता दीजिए. The answer here is the above three varna were supposed to undergo something called as upanayana samskara. Any person who is called as Dvija means this person or this category of people, these people undergo something called as, or Dvija people undergo upanayana samskara. जन्यु धारण हम लोग हिंदी में बोलते हैं जन्यु धारण, और इट इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एस यज्ञोपवीत धारण, यज्ञोपवीत धारण संस्कार, धारण 2 A's here, DHAARANA, यज्ञोपवीत धारण, जन्यु धारण एक जंध्या होता है, इन तेलुगु वी कॉल इट एज जंध्यमु। सो जो आदमी को, जो बच्चा को, आदमी नहीं, एक छोटा सा बच्चा होता है, उसका मे बी राइट फ्रॉम अबाउट 7 or 8 year old age, the boys, only for boys this janyu dharan is conducted, not for girls. These younger boys undergo this ceremony or this upanayana samskara. कुछ याद आ रहा है आपको इसके ऊपर? कुछ टिप्पणी करोगे आप? What can be this? Can you guess, my dear friends, what can be this? Some kind of a discussion we had earlier in chapter 6, anthropological theory. Some idea comes closer to this. That means, acha, ye pehle mere ko bolne do, you can answer me later. If a boy is undergoing this upanayana samskara at his house or at a public place in a big gathering, public will come and watch them, watch that ceremony, give the blessings to the boy. Because from after this, the boy, no, not specific varna. In fact, exactly, Mukunda, wonderful. It's like that initiation ceremony for the boys. Perfectly right, Priyanka. This entire Upanayana Samskara is closer to, not exactly the process is same, but the idea is same. The idea is the initiation ceremony. The boy is initiated into adulthood. There the boy can marry, but here it is slightly different because the boy before getting married has to complete the Gurukula education, Gurukula Vidya. This boy has to take up Guru Vidya for about 10-15 years minimum. अभी 7 साल का हो गया, 8 साल का हो गया, add 15 years or about 10 years, he'll be somewhere around 18 to 20, 22. So इससे ज़्यादा नहीं, maximum 25, maximum से maximum 25. PG, PhD full करके आएगा from the Gurukula. Once he comes, then that is a different story. We'll talk about that. But the boy has to undergo this because the upper 3 varna, the top 3 varna, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya children, the boys, were supposed to be dying in that ceremony and again reborn. Same वही वहां पर भी हम लोग देखे थे, right? Even in the Mukunda, even in the Enkanga, both the boys and girls separately, when they were undergoing these kind of ceremonies, were supposed to have been undergone that between and betwixt position, that liminality position or liminal position, and come out with flying colors into a different stage of life. The girl became a woman, the boy became a man. Here the boy still remains a boy, but he gets eligibility to undergo education. उसके पहले उसका क्या था status? He is just like an animal, because in a human society there is no place for animal life. So animals never can take the responsibility of the society. He has to get educated, only then he is properly given that proper position as a man or a human. So उसके लिए उसको गुरुकुला जाना होता है, and in that again based on the varna the training is given. For the Brahmins of Vedas and deeper knowledge on the Shastras are given. For Kshatriya some Shastra plus some kind of administration, some other knowledge is given, some training in some basic arts are given. For Vaishya some other mathematics etc. These are all given focus. ये सब होने के बाद वो लोग उनका एलिजिबिलिटी बनता है शादी करने का and earning का. Before that they are simply students. Acha. So what is the point here? As per, since ancient Aryan system, which was only the Arya Varna, it got again divided into 3 Varna, the Brahmana, Kshatriya and the Vaishya. The local people, the subjugated Dasa were added into the 4th level called Sudra. That distinction continued. The distinction continued saying, look, you people cannot undergo the Janyu Dharana, or you are not eligible for Upanayana Samskara. So you are also ineligible for Ashrama. Are you getting this? बहुत ध्यान से सुनो. Since you are not eligible for Upanayana Samskara, it automatically tantamounts to something called as ineligibility for undergoing Ashrama Vyavastha also. because this Ashrama Vyavastha or Ashrama system again is fourfold. Now let me come to the Ashrama system. Once I complete Ashrama system, broad outline, I'll end the session here. ठीक है, और अगर देखते हैं मेरे को तो कुछ एनर्जी अभी ऐसी कंटिन्यू होगा तो मैं ये पूरा इसका तमाम कर दूंगा. It all depends on how my energy levels are today. Yeah, चलिए, and we'll talk about the Ashrama system. Hope you have noted. अरे अगर जल्दबाजी कर दिया तो ये निकल जाएगा हाथ से. Hope you have noted all this. Now, what are ashrama? As I just now mentioned, ashrama is a fourfold or ashrama vyavastha or ashrama system. Either you simply can say ashrama or ashrama system, which was in ancient days called as ashrama vyavastha. It is also called as the fourfold ashrama system, because in this there are, which has 4 stages of life. 4 stages. What are these 4 stages? Brahmacharya, Grihastha. In Hindi it is written as Grihastha, actually Gri, but it is pronounced in South Indian languages as Grihastha. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, then Vanaprastha and Sanyasa. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sanyasa. These are the 4 stages of life. A man, here it is only for man, that too, which man? Now you tell me which man, based on the understanding we developed so far. इसको लेकर के हमको बोलना है आंसर. Which man? Which man are we talking about? All the 4 Varna men or boys? So because it is not only for boys, it is about all of them. It is the Dvija man. It is the Dvija man. Initially, it starts with the Dvija boys. What is that initiation thing? The Upanayana Samskara. The girls are not eligible. The upper 3 Varna, simply we have one term for them called Dvija. And since Ekaja are not permitted, that means that Sudra cannot undergo the Ashrama system. That is the reason the term Varna has been added. Itna depth rehta subject mein. And so in many books, unfortunately, this is not given. ये लोग यही बोल रहा हूँ मैं, same problem, again same problem. Nobody goes into the depth of that. They don't have time for that. They just repeat like parrots. जो भी उधर है आपको बोलेंगे बस. And Varna Ashrama came because term came because of the dependency of the Ashrama system on the Varna system. So both are co-terminus and they are dependent on each other, coeval with each other. There is a term called coeval, C-O-E-V-A-L. Coeval means each cannot exist separately without the other. So Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sanyasa are these 4 stages which a Dvija man has to undergo. It is a prescribed form of lifestyle. You need to go in these 4 levels only, stage by stage. One cannot directly go from Brahmacharya to Sanyasa. No, it is highly not recommended. One cannot go from Brahmacharya to Vanaprastha or Sanyasa to ulta vanaprastha to grihastha to brahmacharya. Ulta palta नहीं होता इधर, सीधा सीधा होता है. So brahmacharya will lead naturally to grihastha. Grihastha will smoothly flow towards varnashrama, and varnashrama logically ends in sannyasa. That is all these four stages of life are ordained like that by the ancient knowledge or wisdom. So यहाँ तक हम लोग बात करते हैं, and we'll wind up this class now. अभी एनर्जी डाउन हो रहा है, आई मे नॉट सस्टेन दिस एनर्जी, सो इसीलिए थोड़ा सॉरी. तो नींद का थोड़ा कम हो रहा है, एज आई टोल्ड यू, सम कमी हो रही है. आई विल ट्राई टू हैव अ नैप इन द आफ्टरनून. थोड़ा घर का भी काम कर लूं, आज वैसे भी नवमी है, थोड़ा और भी कुछ काम होंगे. टुमारो दशमी. आप लोग बोलो, आप लोगों का पूजा वगैरह होता है, विच टाइम यू आर फ्री, टेल मी फास्ट. ईच एंड एवरी पर्सन टाइप नाउ इटसेल्फ, विल डिसाइड at what time we'll have the class. दशहरा टाइम में मेरे को 2-3 घंटे एक्स्ट्रा मिलते हैं शायद, इसलिए आई विल ट्राई टू टेक मोर क्लासेस टुडे एंड टुमारो आल्सो इफ पॉसिबल. Evening time tomorrow. Okay, wonderful. Number one. Another person. Others. Are you seeing your schedule? Calendar क्या हो रहा है? जल्दी बताइए. Or you can put in the group also. ठीक है? I'm ending the class here. Okay, great. Others. कौन बचा है? प्रियंका. Morning and evening. Wonderful. अरे वाह. Great. Good spirits. Hope you are also okay. Evening. ठीक है. So evening पे because पूजा वगैरह रहता है लोगों को. कल दुर्गा पूजा है, दुर्गा अष्टमी मतलब दशमी है. सो हम लोग वहाँ पे इवनिंग पे ही मिलते हैं आज, लेकिन थोड़ा इवनिंग में भी ट्राई करते हैं. इफ आई गेट अ चांस आई विल टेक 2 सेशंस आल्सो. थैंक यू. टेक केयर.